They were in love for 11 whole years, yet their reunions couldn't even fill a single season. In their on and off love story, there was sweetness in the pain, and a hidden sting in the sweetness. But every reunion felt like the flutter of a first love. If I'm the red mole on your chest, then you're the beam of moonlight in my life. The story begins in the winter of 1994. At dawn, near Christmas, a small bakery had just opened. A high school student, Hyun-woo, walked in through the door.
콩으로 만든 거 없나? 두부나.
But tofu was rarely sold in the bakery, so Mi-soo suggested he go to the grocery store ahead. But just as Hyun-woo walked out, he suddenly stopped.
방송, 사랑, 그리고 비행기 이 세 가지 공통점이 뭔지 아세요? 출발할 때 에너지가 가장 많이 든다.
After a brief pause, Hyun-woo stepped outside. Meanwhile, Mi-soo and her sister talked about the unfamiliar boy. In Korea, people buying tofu early in the morning are usually those who just got out of prison or juvenile detention. They eat tofu after release to get rid of bad luck. Sure enough, not long after, Hyun-woo walked by holding tofu. And as he passed the bakery, he stared intently at the job advertisement. Unexpectedly, he came back in the evening to apply for the job. Although his quiet, expressionless demeanor startled Mi-soo, her older sister was kind and warm-hearted. She didn't press him about why he had been locked up. Seeing how diligent and nimble he was, she agreed to hire him. From then on, the small bakery had one more person. In the days they spent together, the sisters' kindness and warmth influenced Hyun-woo, so he began to share his past. It happened during his third year in high school. Hyun-woo was goofing around on the rooftop with friends. One friend accidentally fell. Because Hyun-woo was closest to him, he was accused of pushing him. Others who didn't know the truth insisted it was him. So he ended up in juvenile detention. While in detention, he listened to a radio program every morning at 9 a.m. during breakfast. Hyun-woo would pray at that time, hoping that when he got out, both he and the world would be different. But after his release, he realized he no longer fit in at school. He was like a lonely soul wandering the streets. Beside him were golden trees just like those in prison, reflecting the desolate feel of autumn and winter, and the red traffic light on the pole, symbolizing standstill. But just 3 minutes after Hyun-woo and Mi-soo first met, a new DJ, Yoo Yale, replaced the host of the radio show. For Hyun-woo, it felt like a miracle. Maybe he needed something to hold on to, or maybe it was just a passing impulse. Stuck in the mire, Hyun-woo suddenly felt this was heaven's gift-hand opportunity to start over. From then on, his life at the bakery took on a new light. He earnestly asked Mi-soo's sister how to make bread, and carefully prepared samples of new products for customers to try. In their spare time, the bored sisters would often tease Hyun-woo for fun. Over time, feelings began to grow between him and Mi-soo. They would sit at the doorway during rainy days, listening to the radio together. But even though there were mutual feelings, it never went beyond shy smiles exchanged. Still, Hyun-woo's handsome looks brought in many young female fans to the bakery. Business became better than ever, and the jealous Mi-soo would often drive away those girls with a hint of possessiveness, as if declaring, "This is my territory." Though it was cold outside, the bakery was filled with warmth and the sweet scent of bread. But everything shattered on Christmas Day. Hyun-woo's old gang ran into him at the bakery. They all came in to greet him, but their loud chatter got them sternly kicked out by Mi-soo's sister. Out of old loyalty, Hyun-woo wanted to treat them to a meal, as both a reunion and a farewell. So before he left, he asked Mi-soo's sister for an advance on his pay. At that moment, Mi-soo sat in a corner, her eyes filled with sorrow and resignation. After Hyun-woo left, Mi-soo stared out the window and said a single word to her sister.
쟤 갈 것 같지?
Her face showed a bit of sadness and disappointment, as if she had just sent off a passing traveler. But after that day, Hyun-woo truly never came back. Maybe in that era, love shattered before it could even be taken seriously. That night, during dinner with his old friends, Hyun-woo had thought they had matured. But during a brief tribute to their deceased friend, they revealed the same reckless immaturity as before.
뭔 제사를 지내, 씨발 제조.
야!
Even though Hyun-woo tried to suppress his anger, he could not bear their disrespect toward the departed. So once again, he returned to juvenile detention. Meanwhile, every night, Mi-soo leaned against the bakery door, gazing outside through the glass, as if waiting for someone to appear suddenly from the distant street. That was their first separation. Hyun-woo left for detention so suddenly, he didn't even leave a simple way to contact him. Not long after, a financial crisis swept the country. Mi-soo's family bakery was also affected and closed down. Time flew by. Soon it was the winter of 1997. Mi-soo now had long hair and was about to graduate with a degree in Korean literature. In front of her were two job options: a stable editing job at a printing house or a part-time role at a radio station. To support herself, Mi-soo chose the printing job because her older sister had supported her education all these years by running a humble street stall. Mi-soo also wanted to have a stable income to help support the family. The difficult days brought by the financial crisis seemed to be slowly improving. She ran to share the good news with her sister, smiling. At night, she walked to the now closed bakery, silently praying in front of the closed door that everything would get better. But at that moment, someone called out to her from behind. It turned out that Hyun-woo, getting out of juvenile detention, found the bakery had already closed. To increase his chances of running into Mi-soo again, he took a part-time job as a mover near the bakery. In fact, every reunion after a long separation is never just a coincidence. After a few long-awaited greetings, Hyun-woo asked Mi-soo to wait for him at the bakery for a few minutes. He had to escort an elderly man with poor eyesight home. After doing so, he happily ran to meet Mi-soo again. He only slowed down to a walk when he was just in front of her. That night, their reunion after a long time was especially emotional. Under the warm, dim light, they leaned on each other. Sometimes, liking someone doesn't need many words. The joy in their eyes already said it all. But this reunion was destined to be short-lived, because Hyun-woo had to enlist early the next morning. After talking endlessly, they returned to Mi-soo home. One slept on the bed, the other on the floor. The room was dark. Only the heater glowed with a warm orange light.
네. 나는 네가 돌아오지 않을 거라고 생각했어.
After a brief pause, Hyun-woo explained everything. He had really wanted to return to the bakery. He really, really wanted to. But after leaving that day, he got into an argument with a drunk person and ended up back in juvenile detention. After hearing this, Mi-soo called his name. They looked at each other in the dark, held hands, and said goodnight. They didn't expect this goodbye would last for years again. Late that night, Mi-soo created an email account for Hyun-woo. The address was Dubu 1001. The 1st of October was the day they first met. Dubu means tofu in Korean, and that was nickname for Hyun-woo. The next morning, Mi-soo gave the email address to Hyun-woo. Before they parted, Hyun-woo mustered his courage and kissed Mi-soo. It was their first kiss. Awkward but full of longing. Their hearts full of feelings. They were like butterflies fluttering toward gold. This was their second farewell. But when Hyun-woo opened the note with the email address, there was no password written on it. Mi-soo's small oversight made their second separation even longer. Even though the email inbox was never opened and always unread, in the days after their farewell, Mi-soo kept writing again and again through spring and fall. In the past, days passed slowly. Letters and messages were slow, and even after countless goodbyes, she only wished to see Hyun-woo again. Mi-soo knew he liked listening to the radio too, so she left a message on a tearful music album show, the 1st of October. Dubu, I miss you.
유열님, 저는 도넛이에요. 이제는 두부가 찾아와도 만날 수가 없어서 사연을 보내요. 이사를 가거든요. 확인도 못할 이메일 주소로 날마다 메일을 보낸 지 벌써 여러 달이 흘렀네요. 이메일 비밀번호는 내 학번이야. 두부야.
Even though Hyun-woo visited Mi-soo when he was on military leave, Mi-soo had already moved away for work, and so they completely lost contact. Winter passed, and summer came. Mi-soo continued to send messages without replies, writing about her daily life and how much she missed him. Time flew by. Before she knew it, it was spring of 2000. By then, Hyun-woo had completed his service. But just like when the bakery closed down, he could no longer find Mi-soo. Still longing for the one he loved, he chose to rent the apartment Mi-soo once lived in. When the landlord told him the door lock code, he suddenly realized something. Mi-soo had never changed the lock code, so he tried using that same code to open the email account. Sure enough, the next second, something amazing happened. He finally opened the email. As he read the letters that filled the inbox, it was as if he had recovered all those lost years. He kept reading until he fell asleep in front of the computer. Naturally, this led to a long-awaited reunion. But little did they know, the joy and surprise of reconnecting would soon be shattered by reality. They didn't even get to meet face-to-face. Hyun-woo replied to Mi-soo's email. They arranged a phone call at 6 p.m. Over the phone, they exchanged long-overdue greetings and promised to have a long talk after work that evening. But when the evening came, Mi-soo sat in her office dialing Hyun-woo's phone again and again, yet no one ever answered on the other end. It turned out that the job introduced to Hyun-woo by a friend was a scam. Customers came and trashed the store, and everyone was taken to the police station. By the time the matter was cleared up, Hyun-woo was released. He turned away from his friend who had come to pick him up and screamed in frustration.
우리 제발 멀쩡하게 좀 살자!
After that, Hyun-woo walked away without looking back. Back home, Hyun-woo sat in front of the computer, wanting to explain everything to Mi-soo. He received an email from Mi-soo saying goodbye. Mi-soo wasn't actually angry that he didn't show up. She knew something must have happened. But while waiting for his call, she suddenly realized she couldn't reunite with Hyun-woo like this, because she didn't feel happy at all. Her life was miserable. Her sister was still running a street stall at the corner. Her own dull, meaningless job brought nothing but a regular paycheck. She wrote, crying in the dark, that her current situation was just too terrible. She couldn't handle a romantic reunion like this. She asked to reconnect only when something good happened. But long separations often come with rose-tinted lenses. And under those lenses, neither of them had become the person they hoped to be. Hyun-woo wanted to explain why he missed the call. But after typing one sentence, he quietly deleted it, because he didn't want to show his pain and failure to the one he loved. This was their third separation. Spring passed, autumn came. In a flash, it was 2005. Mi-soo left the printing house. She started a publishing company with her boss. Hyun-woo also started a video production company with a senior colleague. Coincidentally, Hyun-woo's office was right below Mi-soo. This unexpected coincidence brought them back together again.
우연히 만나네, 우린.
그러게. 좀 이상하네.
난 퇴근하려고 이제.
보여줄 게 있는데.
They didn't know what to say at first, but Mi-soo simply smiled and followed the man she thought she had lost back home. It turned out Hyun-woo was still living in that second-floor apartment. The mystery was finally solved. It was this apartment that gave him access to the email account. At this stage, both Hyun-woo and Mi-soo were doing well. These two who had missed each other for so long could finally do the things couples do. Mi-soo wore his t-shirt. They whispered sweet nothings to each other on the balcony. They held hands while grocery shopping. They lay on the floor together reading comics. The sunlight was warm. They smiled happily. Hyun-woo even pasted Mi-soo's photo on the ceiling. So during breaks from work, every time he looked up, he could see the face and smile of the woman he loved. One evening, the sweetness of love gave Mi-soo the courage to say to Hyun-woo she wanted to marry. But what she received in return was Hyun-woo's long silence. How could Hyun-woo not want to marry Mi-soo? It's just that there were still too many unresolved problems in reality. That night, Hyun-woo held Mi-soo in his arms and couldn't fall asleep for a long time. A friend from the past had died from a fall, but he was accused of murder. It had always been a knot in his heart that he couldn't untangle. Although he was the one who suffered most after that incident, now he was the only one living a good life. He had worked hard to get into college. He had a decent job and a stable relationship. But then, an old friend came to reopen old wounds. Because it was the anniversary of their friend's death, they brought Hyun-woo to the house of the deceased friend's sister.
니들이 밖에서 잘 먹고 잘 사는 거 생각만 해도 우리는 소름 끼치는 사람. 성하면 안 돼, 니들은.
안 그랬어요, 진짜로. 제가 안 그랬어요. 제발요. 죄송합니다.
난 알아도 몰라. 죽어서 정엽이한테 가서 말해.
On the way home, Hyun-woo accidentally left his phone in a friend's car. When the friend returned the phone, Mi-soo seemed to sense something. So the next day, she asked Hyun-woo's friend to take her there. But the deceased friend's sister had already moved out. That night, Mi-soo brought it up with Hyun-woo. She wanted to persuade him to let go of the past and live well. But Hyun-woo still didn't want to talk about that wound. Perhaps he didn't want Mi-soo to reopen it either. Hyun-woo had done nothing wrong. Yet he kept getting dragged back into the swamp again and again. Hyun-woo loved Mi-soo so deeply that he didn't want her to know about his disgraceful past. Mi-soo loved Hyun-woo so much that she wanted to know everything about his past, even the painful parts. After being sent to juvenile detention, he dropped out of high school. His life spiraled into a mess from then on. No matter how hard he struggled, there was no relief. Because no one cared about the truth. And no one believed the truth. Even though he visited the sister every year, even though he said over and over again, "It wasn't me," the accident had already happened. The sister had lost her brother forever. He just wanted a normal life. And a normal life meant the people around him didn't know about his past. Both Hyun-woo and Mi-soo carried heavy burdens in life. That's why their hearts were filled with anxiety, and they cherished everything they had. But fate kept playing tricks on them, dragging them back into darkness over and over again. Every time they climbed out, looking up at the sky, yet Mi-soo still ended up leaving Hyun-woo. Meanwhile, Mi-soo's boss finally began to pursue her. He offered to help her reopen the bakery, an offer she found hard to refuse. When Hyun-woo realized he had hurt Mi-soo, he was filled with regret. But by the time he came to his senses, he saw Mi-soo about to get into her boss' luxury car. He shouted her name loudly, but Mi-soo resolutely got into the car. As the car drove away, Hyun-woo ran after it desperately, and Mi-soo couldn't hold back her tears of heartbreak. In the end, Mi-soo decided to get out of the car. She chose to give Hyun-woo another chance to talk. Perhaps only time can truly test their love. Perhaps only time can heal Hyun-woo's wounds. She cried as she said goodbye.
튀지 마, 현우야. 제발 튀지 마. 다쳐.
Mi-soo crying made Hyun-woo speechless. Consumed by pain, Hyun-woo stood still, hating himself for being trapped in his painful past, and for failing to hold on to his precious love. This marked their fourth separation. Years later, Hyun-woo, through hard work, became a photographer for Yoo Yeol's music program. And Mi-soo, his former lover, still listened to the show every day. It was the very program that marked the start of their first love. Over the years, they remained bound by an invisible red thread. That day, the program theme was "The Person You Miss." And DJ Yoo Yeol casually asked Hyun-woo, and without thinking, Hyun-woo said Mi-soo's name. What he didn't expect was that on the other end, Mi-soo happened to be listening. Only then did she realize that Hyun-woo's love for her had never changed. Hadn't she missed that boy all these years too? To preserve something beautiful, she had worked hard, moving forward so she wouldn't live with regret. She needed music to open her heart. At that moment, Mi-soo couldn't hold back anymore and ran out of the office. This time, she didn't want to be apart from him again. The two of them, who used to walk gently under the breeze, now ran desperately toward each other. That's the most beautiful kind of trust. When she arrived outside the radio station, Through the glass window, they both felt the intensity of their love. Someone who loves you will run to see you. What could be more beautiful than that? Over these 11 years, they were separated 4 times and met 4 times. The actual time they spent together didn't even fill a single season. He carried the burden of a wrongful past, moving forward with guilt as his lifeline. 2 broken chapters became the prologue to each other's stories. Their bond started from a lonely radio show and progressed through nights together. They progressed from stolen glances to kisses on the tip of the nose. To love is to accept the bitter moments like iced Americanos, but still wanting to give each other sweet love like a donut. Whether at life's peak or its lowest point, when you love someone to the bone and can't let go, you hold on without regret. If you never try, you'll never understand how precious life and love can be. Let the light guide you home under the moonlight, igniting your passion, and I will walk this path with you. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe and have a day full of love.